Oh, well, welcome. Welcome to the temporary quarters of the Jacob Edwards Library. Harry Williams, the library director, and we're going to have a walking tour tonight of our temporary facility. As you've already seen, we're at the town hall at 41 Elm Street on the lower level. And as you come down the hall, as you just did, the first thing you'll see is the main desk of the library. My colleague, Christy, is here ready to check out books for you as soon as you find some interesting ones. And I think you'll be glad to see that there are many interesting ones here. Although we're a little smaller than our permanent home, there's plenty here, and I'll show you. This, as I say, is our hallway, which is now our circulation post. Our circulation is computerized. You probably realize everything in the library is computerized these days, including some of our services. Christy right now is taking care of what we call bibliographic records for some of our holdings, and what's normally behind the scenes, but we don't have much space to do anything behind the scenes these days, so we're doing it right out in front of you. I think the first thing I'd like to do is show you into our adult reading room. This was formerly the GAR Hall for the town of Southbridge, and that stood for Grand Army of the Republic. Until this spring, it was a very dark room. The windows were boarded up. And I'm very pleased and proud of the town of Southbridge and the public works employees and all the other people in the town, officials, workers, who took this room, which had fallen out of use, and made it into a highly functional room for library purposes. We call it a reading room. I think perhaps from the angle we're looking now, you can't see that we have, in addition to our tables for working, we actually still were able to find room for a few easy chairs. We maintain a collection of current newspapers right here. Some people like to come in every day and read the Telegram, the Southbridge News, and we do have some of the national papers, the Times, the Globe. We have Barron's for those financial people out there, and the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, USA Today, the Globe. So you can keep informed. What's a little harder to see, unless I go way around the corner, is our periodicals, our magazine collection. The first row here towards the windows is our magazine collection, and what we've always done at the library is to, a lot of glare there, we always display the current issue in some kind of a holder so that you can come in the library and read it here. This is bicycling. We have an array of magazines on every subject, including a lot of news weeklies and a lot of monthly magazines on different hobbies. And in addition to the current issue, and most of them are in these harder binders, Architectural Digest, for those of you that like to dream about a beautiful home, you can study that up. If it's in a binder like this, it's the newest issue and you need to read it here. But all the earlier issues are kept right nearby and can be checked out just like a book. If you look on the back of the magazine, you'll find it has a little label, which we use to check out our books. If you haven't been with us for a while, you'll be surprised to see that we're using barcodes now. For many years, we used what are called OCR, optical character recognition. Those squared off little letters like on the bottom of your check. The barcodes make our computers able to check things in and out much quicker. We have a tree. Another thing we're proud of in this corner of the library is that we have our young adult collection. We have mostly paperback books, almost everything that's on the summer reading list, books that teenagers and pre-teenagers like. If you don't think of yourself as an adult yet, or your parents tell you you're not an adult yet, and you know that you're not a kid anymore, and the children's room is a little bit too unsophisticated, this is probably the place to come. We have everything from the scary books by R.L. Stine to the classic books like The Red Pony by Steinbeck. We also have in the corner a collection of Spanish books. It's not a large collection, but we have some newer reference books in Spanish, and we're finding that's a big help. A lot of people are asking for that.
Got the two little girls.
Okay, as we continue in the adult reading room, one thing that you see just as you come in the door, and many of our patrons go directly here, is our new books display. We have a large selection of new fiction, some of it hot off the press, I'm happy to say this week. We also have some specialized fiction, mystery, science fiction, and a large collection of nonfiction books on all subjects. One thing that we're trying to do a better job of keeping up with, and it's a true challenge for us, is books on computers and computer programs. I swear this afternoon there were a couple here I was going to show you. They've already been checked out. It's a hot subject. But this, again, this is where people come sometimes right away. They come down the hall, head in here and look at the new books. Another thing that we have over here is a collection of audio books. And it's actually 3 ranges of shelves full of books on cassette. And this has become really popular in libraries in recent years. More and more people, especially commuters, are finding that listening to a book on tape while they drive to work is a lot more fun and less boring than listening to the radio. And it's a great opportunity to get double duty out of your commuting time. Also, people who have to do the ironing or the housework also find that the time passes really nicely listening to a book on tape. And in the corner past that, I know I've moved to trifocals now myself. None of us are getting younger, and many people are finding large print books really fill the bill. And so what's interesting to me is that the publishers are realizing that none of us is getting younger. And some of the older large print books look very generic. They're wonderful books. This is Zane Grey. This particular publisher always color-coded the books so that the westerns are orange. But some people wouldn't take a large print book because they looked different. Now the bestsellers come out in large print as quickly as they're published, and we buy them up. We've got a couple of Danielle Steele's right here, Long Road Home, Silent Honor. These books are published in large print. They look exactly like the regular edition, and they're a pleasure to read for people who find that they have pain and discomfort reading small print for a long period of time. Now I just take another step or two and we'll go from print to non-print. I just want to show, not all of you know that the town of Southbridge has its own homepage on the internet. We're very proud at the library we're able to still provide internet access for our patrons. You sign up ahead of time. You need to have a library card. We will let you use it for an hour for free, and you can surf the net. And if I can click over, there's actually a library page too. That's pretty exciting to me. So that when you're at home, you can see if there's any news up there. It's actually not updated all that often, but we recently put our new winter hours on there. And this is actually, the service has been provided by our local provider, Beyond Software. And we're very thrilled about that. Over here, 2 more of my colleagues, Lauren and Samantha, are working on the computerized card catalog. One thing you won't see as we continue our tours, there's no card catalog in the library anymore. There's an electronic catalog. You can find all of our holdings. What's exciting is if you look for a book and you don't find it listed here, you can switch over to the catalog for all of Central and Western Massachusetts. Locate a library that has the book, and we can get it for you by interlibrary loan. So some people are a little shy about learning to use an electronic catalog, but it's well worth it because it opens up the resources of all the libraries throughout the region. And perhaps next we can move out, we'll pass through the circulation room again and see our reference room. I'll make a quick stop in there and show you some more traditional library resources. Well, one thing I always point out to groups when I give an in-person tour of the library is that the most important resource in the library are the people you'll find at the desk. This is Jill Compton, our reference librarian, and Jill's main function at the library, she has many, is to answer your questions or help you find the answers to questions. And this room is all about answering questions and finding information. It's our reference room. It has encyclopedia sets, we have the Mass General Laws, we have reference books on all different subjects involving the sciences, business, history, pretty much anything you name. But I say that to people when they come in, and I'm not joking. Sometimes people have gotten the impression that the whole point of the people working in the library is to make them be quiet and protect the books from the customers. We're here to help you find what you need, and that's really our function. I'm really pleased with how this room came out because it, as you can see, it's a challenging room. It's L-shaped. This formerly was the planning board's room, I believe, and the town did a fine job of helping us get some shelving in here, cleaned everything up, and the lighting is all new, so that we can provide these things. In fact, I almost forgot to mention that in the corner we have yet another computer. This is what we call a CD-ROM workstation, and we have a lot of reference books on compact disc format. Encyclopedias, national telephone book, a variety of things, including some of the multimedia encyclopedias where you get the sounds, animations. You can hear John F. Kennedy saying, "Ask not what you can do for your country." Well, that's not what he said, is it? Ask not what your country can do for you. Well, anyway, you can find out what he actually said by looking at the electronic encyclopedia. We have maps, atlases, books about literature. We have not everything that was at the library at 236 Main Street, but an excellent representative sampling, and for most of the topics you're going to be researching or doing homework on, we should be able to find you the information you need. And that's what this room and our staff is all about. Perhaps I'll just briefly show what we were able to do for a work area.
Come on down.
Come on down. This small room, well, it's not that small. What this room really is it's kind of the dead center of the town hall building. This was storage, it was dark, it was damp, and now it's been renovated to be a combination of an office for me to do some administrative work and also the back periodical storage. I mentioned in the reading room that we keep the current issue of the magazine and other issues. Those would be the other 1998 issues, but we keep 5 years worth of most of our magazines. They can be checked out like a book, but because our space is limited, we've used this storage space to house them. And you can ask at the desk, if I want a consumer report for 1996, please, well, we'll go get it for you. Other than that, there's not much to say except that it's slightly cluttered. Apologies, but come see me anytime if you have questions. I think now we'd like to proceed to the children's room and see what we've done at the other end of the basement. Well, I'd like to show you the children's room next. On the way by, perhaps you just mentioned that one of the important pieces of equipment at the library is a photocopier. We have one, and it's 10 cents a page to use it, and it's used often, believe me.
Brand new, it's been issued this year. It's a new tube at Brookside Terrace, that's right. Someone else want to try?
Well, we picked a convenient time to have our tour. On our way into the children's room, we've just come across some Girl Scouts who have donated the bulletin board, which is a huge, beautiful bulletin board, and they're just installing the plaque now, which says, presented by Southbridge Girl Scouts, 1998. And one of you could perhaps tell me what kind of scouts we have? There's a whole bunch of kinds. It's Girl Scouts and Brownies, and what are the other
That's all I'm
kinds?
not talking about.
Juniors and Daisy. You have Daisy Scouts in the blue, Brownie Scouts in the brown uniforms and white t-shirts, and we have Junior Girl Scouts in the green uniforms in the back.
And thanks to all of you for giving us this wonderful bulletin board. And who should we find on our way into the children's room but Mary White, our children's librarian.
I was very grateful to get this bulletin board because I didn't know where the funding was coming from.
That's right.
And it's our first gift to the new building, which we will be taking with us when we leave.
That's wonderful. Well, I mentioned earlier that the adult reading room had been the GAR Hall. This was the American Legion room of the town hall that we were able to have some workspace counters and a whole bunch of tables, which we need. Well, all right, I'm exaggerating. 2 tables and a computer workstation. But we have some pretty good sized tables. This is another one of our computerized catalogs. I still say computerized card catalog, but it's a lie. It's not a card catalog. But it does give you all of our holdings, and if you want, you can find out the holdings of the Worcester Library or any of the colleges, anyone in central and western Massachusetts. We have another CD-ROM computer which was purchased for us by the Friends of Jacob Edwards Library, which was a Macintosh computer. The one I showed you in the reference room is a regular Windows type computer. This has a number of reference things about animals, dinosaurs, nature, history, art, music. And again, you get the sights, the sounds, the animations. It's quite wonderful. But what I really love is how many of our beautiful children's books we were able to bring. And what a nice display they make because they're so colorful. This is where it all started for me as a little boy in a poor town in New York State, coming to the library and experiencing books. Millions of books. Life is good. This is a book and a cassette. Now, the Curious George is pretty well known. It's a lot of fun, and sometimes for adults, most people know the Literacy Volunteers is involved with the library. And in fact, the town was able to find a temporary quarters for literacy volunteers upstairs in this building as well. Sometimes for practice reading, this is wonderful, as well as for a child to enjoy their favorite stories. Because what you have is a picture book, nice big writing, easy to read, and the book is on tape as well, so that you can hear the words as you're reading. For children, it's a wonderful way to familiarize themselves with the written word. For practice readers, it's wonderful as well. And of course, we have all kinds of fiction and nonfiction children's books for older readers all around the rest of the room. And decorations. Our children's room is always beautifully decorated, and when we can get the right angle, we'll make sure that you see our early Halloween display. Pretty proud. Not with us this evening is Karina Pena, who's our assistant children's librarian. Karina puts together our displays. Mrs. White, who you've met, usually conceptualizes them, and Karina realizes them. And I just burst out laughing when I saw this. I think it's wonderful, seasonal. As you can see, we took a lemon and made some wonderful lemonade for the town. The lemon being, of course, that we had to move out of the library at Main Street while the renovations take place. We didn't just find a temporary home. We found a wonderful, vibrant, temporary library. It's smaller than what we had before, but as you can see, we're meeting all the functions. We have people come. We must be doing something right because the people are coming, and we hope that you're going to be one of them. If you haven't come to see us already at 41 Elm Street, you can see why we think it's going to be worth the trip. Thank you very much. Good night.
There you go. Turn that way. Let's see, which bag is that? Let's fix it, that's right. Okay, anyone else? Okay.
Did you try it tomorrow? It's going to be a try it.
Well, we certainly are following the Girl Scout law. We promised.